It's official. We've crossed the line into uncharted territory. Welcome to the land of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. More importantly, welcome to the Snapocalypse. Welcome to the Between the Lies podcast, your weekly lesson on how to approach an uncertain world with positivity and balance. I'm Nicky P here with my good friends and money brains, Luke Tatum and Rob Brayton from Perfect Spiral Capital. Stick around till the end of the video for their free toolkit and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Gentlemen, does the government control your groceries?
Currently, I'm happy to report. Thank you for asking. How about you? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we're in today, as of recording. This is November the 5th when we're recording. This will come out a couple of days later. We're at day 36 of the government shutdown. So we've got a whole month without any federal government. Can you believe it? I'm just so happy.
If
What
only it were so.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that what they told us? We're not going to get anything. You're not going to be allowed to have any cool perks of having a federal government. But I think that goes into why SNAP benefits, right? Like why is this the thing that we're cutting? Why are we all worried about being able to feed our families instead of something like, well, maybe Congress doesn't get paid or, something like that, right? So, is that just to, put the hurt on and get us to all write letters to our congressmen, so that they'll pass a budget and move on? I mean, is that what's going on here? What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times this stuff feels a lot like manipulation, right? And especially when it's almost designed to make the end person who actually pays or contributes to the system be the ones who pay for it. So it certainly feels that way. And I mean, there's a lot of people who do rely on some of this stuff at this point. And that's a different topic that maybe we'll get into about whether that's good or bad. But regardless, why are they the ones who have to pay, right? Like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you consider how much of government really is completely unnecessary. I'm sure we could cut in other places. We've sent billions of dollars to a few different foreign countries, bailed out an economy. Maybe we didn't need to do those things, right? I'm supposedly the government shut down, so how are we even doing those things, right? Just something to think about. And you know, anybody who's really concerned about it, those are some of the questions that you have to ask. And are these the same people that you want solving your problems?
Right. I mean, it's the classic, government breaks your legs and then says, here's a pair of crutches, and you're supposed to go, thanks, government, right? Like, uh, okay. I mean, maybe we shouldn't be blowing up military munitions at the end of the year just so we can ask for a bit bigger military budget the next year, like just to get rid of it and say, oh, yeah, we're using all this stuff. We really need to ask for more money. Like that kind of stuff happens. And or we could let people have food. You know,
So I'm going to actually frame this into what the situation actually is at the moment, at a political level, because I think that's interesting in and of itself. Right now, we've forced the government at a standstill because the left is refusing to allow a contingent, keep spending levels the same, we'll decide later, for SNAP, because they're trying to back the Republicans into a wall about subsidizing healthcare. Now, it seems odd to me that, so all we're talking about is subsidizing one part of the government or another. It's like, well, we're not going to give you your benefits until they tell us that we can give these other benefits to people. It's we're we need to spend more at all costs. Is what it feels like at the end of the day. Like, look, until we can spend more over here, we're not going to spend here.
and it's all like kind of backed up by this. Well, federal spending doesn't matter. We can put anything on the credit card, right, and just keep on plowing ahead. We've entered this like era where you have people that think or behave as though the government could spend 86 quintuple, you know, times the amount that we're spending right now. Um, that's not a real thing. 86 quintuple. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But 86 times the current spending level, right? Um, you could just do that tomorrow, and it's all fine. It's all fine. The money's not real. We don't have to worry about it. We're not paying the debt back anyway. Who cares, right? Like that's the kind of attitude that we're in these days, and so it's kind of weird to like bicker and argue about the government budget once, every now and again. Like, oh, well, we got to pass a new budget. But like, nobody cares. Nobody acts as though any of this money has to come from somewhere or that it matters at all any of the rest of the time. And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to get upset about, oh my gosh, the government isn't making enough money.
I mean, it's really funny too, right? Because you think about technically, there's nothing backing our currency. They could just print as much as they want and there is no problem. Well, I mean, you have to have value someplace. But, when you really think about it, if we're printing out of nowhere, why can't they just say, oh, well, there's enough money to get it done and we can keep funding? Well, I mean, obviously, most or all of us are very much more so aligned with the Austrian school, and we tend to understand a little bit more about how some of those underlying things work. But when if you're in that sort of Keynesian mindset, why not just do it and then not worry about it and hope for the best? Because that seems to be the current model that's in place.
To me, I find it odd because it's like we're in agreement with you. This is all fake. It's not real. But they only want people to believe that when it comes to the printing side of it, not to the paying side of it. And that's, its own sort of issue. Um, you mentioned something there, and it kind of, I don't know how much of that I want to blame on Keynesianism versus fractional reserve system because if you were to listen to Keynes, yes, things do actually need paid back at some point in time. It's like you remember the buzzword of MMT that was going around a couple years ago, and I've never given up on this because I actually read into what MMT was, and if you did any of the things that MMT suggested, it probably actually would work. They just never bother with the paying back part. Like that whole concept is, you've got lean times and good times, and you do such and such during the lean times, and in the good times you put it back. It's just those other times never seem to manifest. We just keep pulling and pulling even when we are doing better.
It's like any of these doctrines. I mean, that's what irritates me so much about modern monetary theory and any of these things. It's like just war theory. It's like, well, you can only ever have a just war with all of these criteria met. And then, oh, well, isn't it convenient that all the time we're going to find a way to make sure that all those criteria are met? Right. And so, by the same token, like MMT, okay, great. We've got to always find a way to pay it back, except that, well, I have this list of excuses. I've got convenient excuse A, B, C, D, why it's not a good time for us to do that, right? So in practice, MMT doesn't help anybody, right? It's not solving anything. But I don't know. This whole thing with SNAP benefits, I mean, that is definitely negatively affecting millions of people. Okay. And I don't want to come up here and say, like, well, there's people on there that shouldn't be on there and EBT cards, they shouldn't be receiving any benefits at all, blah, blah, blah. They're spending it on the wrong kind of things. I'm not here to say that, right? Like, my goal doing this podcast is not to be told that I hate poor people. Okay. Like, because I don't. I was dead broke for years and years, and we can talk about that if y'all want to, right? But um the issue is that we're leveraging the pain and the suffering of people in order to satisfy political means. And you know what that is? Definitionally, if you go to dictionary.com or any website, that's terrorism. Okay?
42 million people, I think, is what it said when I was looking at it. 34% of which are children under 18. That one actually surprised me a little bit. Is that it wasn't more children represented in that demographic? So I'm assuming that SNAP also must apply to the elderly, and like that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, this the people with disabilities, the elderly, uh if a household is receiving SNAP, it's like, okay, you have a house with 5 kids, 2 adults, for example, right? Well, both of the adults will qualify based on their assets and their income and stuff, and then all the kids in the household. So it's per person that's in the household. I think it's like 180 something dollars on average nationally or something per individual person per month.
The average family, it makes them about $350 a month
Okay,
on
okay. My
average.
number's wrong then. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's 189 per person.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying per household. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. That kind of being said, like one of the sort of right wing, like, we don't want to do this because it's just a bunch of illegals receiving stuff, like that talking point is really not backed up by much. I mean, like, maybe there's a handful of people, like, there are some green card holders and stuff receiving SNAP benefits, but it's not, I mean, it's like a very, very small percentage of a very small program. You know, to me, the bigger issue is the so-called benefit cliff, right? By making any money, by finding your financial footing, by doing well, you lose these benefits, and so it makes it very hard to move from SNAP benefit recipient to non-SNAP benefit recipient. You're taking a pay cut to do that. Um, it's not good. It's not easy to do.
Well, it's an unfortunate measure of control. When you control whether or not someone gets their money for their food, you can put your thumb on the scales and tell them what they need to do to ensure. It's the idea, like the minute you allow any government to transfer funds, you have now opened it up for that government to tell you what you can do and who you can do, because your you know your livelihood depends on it. And any it's I'm not mad at anyone who is doing what they need to try and make ends meet. But as you said, that financial cliff where, like, they make it hurt to try and find a way off. Not to mention they build the system so that people over time, like, becomes they stop thinking of themselves as somebody who can and doesn't have to be on these programs. Like, it's infantilizing entire swaths of people. It's creating a culture that believes they need to be babied and taken care of. We always say, if you pulled kids away from their mother at the first day they're born, they'd think that eventually, real quickly, you'd think that the government had to teach kids how to walk, because it's just what it's setting up. I mean, it's in their incentive structure to do so. So I more than anything, I feel bad for the people that find themselves in these positions that allow somebody else to get a chokehold and a stranglehold over, you know, their ability to thrive.
I will say, I think it's pretty disappointing when you really consider the whole scope. We're looking at like 2025. Just some rough figures I saw was that the spending was projected at like $7.05 trillion for the U.S., for the government. This is 1.8% of that, 1.9% of that amount of money. And you're telling me that we can't pay that? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. When you consider how much waste there is with the other, 6 point some trillion dollars. I mean, we're running a budget deficit of nearly a half $1 trillion a month. So that's overspending it per month. So you're telling me that we can't afford to just kick these people some money to get food? And again, to your point, Luke, we're not here to argue whether they should or shouldn't get that. That's a different conversation. But when we think about how it's being used as a pawn in this game, that's where it's a bigger problem. Like, people are being manipulated, and it really kind of holding them hostage, to your point of, terrorism. It really is that definition. I mean, and it's sad because we're wasting so much money everywhere else and we can't afford to feed some people. Like, it's ridiculous to me.
You guys are right. Is that, whether they should or shouldn't get this is correct. But what should be correct across the board is that you shouldn't trust people that will use this as their political cudgel. Like that's a sociopath, and those people need to just be wiped out the deck. You know, maybe I'm the crazy one here, but like, that's where so much of my distrust in these systems comes from personally, is that the kind of people that make the decisions aren't the kind of people you want making decisions about your food and your housing or any of those things.
Every single person listening to this show, every single person was around for COVID, right? And when all that was going on, what did they do? They closed public parks. Okay. Why do they close public parks? It's not because public parks are the largest single place that the government has to spend money. It's because it hurts. It makes people miserable to take things away that they might actually use. You know, not a single person can list every government department from memory. Maybe there's some person who committed them all to memory. I don't know. But you know my point, right? Nobody knows, right? There's so much that the government does that people don't even know is happening. You could close them down. People wouldn't have even known that they were there in the first place, right? And we're talking hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. They could easily be trimmed somewhere else and rearranged for this. And, but the thing that just makes me so mad about it is like, just allow people the dignity to build their own way in the world, right? When I was poor, all I wanted was a better opportunity to make some more money to provide for my family, right? We didn't sign up for government assistance programs. I didn't want to sign up for them. It wasn't fun, but we kind of committed to that. I don't want to have to qualify. I don't want to have to fill out paperwork. I'm going to maintain my dignity and work harder, right? Work more hours, work harder, get out of that. And I did, I'm not telling everybody that they have to be me.
Luke's putting on the bootstraps.
Taxing your income is a punishment for working, right? I think we can all agree. Oh, you make too much money? Oh, man, can't have that. Taxing your purchases is a penalty for using your money, right? All of these different types of taxes that we have, you're pinged every step of the way. Even if you don't pay income tax because your income is so low, you're still paying sales tax. You're still, if you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to pay off a house, you're still paying property tax, which is rolled into your mortgage payment if you're on a mortgage. Like, all of these things are still there. And all of those things prevent you from properly directing the money that you make. Period. Right? You could figure out a way to lift yourself up, so to speak, bootstraps, whatever. You could figure out a way to manage your affairs better than the government bureaucrats that will never meet you and never care about you and never think about you for 1 second can do.
Well, and it's not even like it's just giving you the cash to buy food. Like, the system is set up that tells you what you can and can't buy. Like, it's not like it covers everything. So it's even beyond like you being able to make your own choices. Like, even that's not on the table anymore. Like, you're gonna buy what they tell you can buy.
Yeah. Here's some money, but it's always a but after they hand something to you.
And like, add to that, like, I know that I know firsthand the kind of things that go on in that system because, well, I have no need for cash for food, so I'm just going to sell my benefits to somebody else and then go use cash on something I really want, anyways. So like, there's a whole secondary market that's created by this stuff. It's very frustrating.
A prohibition is a black market. It creates a black market. It always will and always has. Right? You can't do this. Well, what's the price to do it anyway?
We don't want to belabor it. The reason we're talking about it is because it's in the news. It's on our minds. You know, let's uh let's look at some ways in which like we can look positively about what's going on, or at least a workaround.
One of those things, I was listening to a different podcast, completely unrelated, just today. And one of the things they were talking about is just the overall mindset. Um, and so much of our society is taught right from the beginning to have this, trade labor for, or trade your time for money. And so much of it could be changed with a more of abundance style mindset of, and one of the examples that was used, and I thought it was brilliant, was here's $100. You have 30 days. Go turn this $100 into $200 in some way, shape, or form. Find a way to do it. It doesn't matter what it is, so long as it's legal. Like, don't go do something nefarious. I don't advocate that for anybody. But go take $100 and turn it into 200. Maybe you go and buy a used dresser someplace, and then you spend $20 on paint and some sandpaper, and you turn around and sell it for 150. Like, wow, you more than doubled, right? So those are some ways where you could think differently in these scenarios of, oh, well, maybe I can go do something different and actually create value for somebody else. Nobody's teaching that, generally speaking. That's not taught in school. It's, do this for somebody else. So
You know who is teaching it though?
who's that?
Perfect Spiral Capital definitely has a an article, because I wrote the thing specifically on value, and what is the name of that article we recall, Luke?
The 8 forms of capital, right?
Yeah, the 8 forms of capital, and how leveraging one into the other is how you like do better in life. It's so you can focus on the time, but eventually you learn ways to leverage those things into different assets. And until you start focusing on looking at it from an assets perspective, like, yeah, you get stuck and bogged down in that trading time for money thing, and it's about the least efficient way to do it. But for a lot of people, it is the only thing they have.
Yeah, totally. And I think what was really cool about that whole thought process is it inspired me to start thinking a little differently as well. And I came up with like 4 or 5 different ideas that I could potentially use to help my family, my daughter starting this little business. And I'm like, oh, here's like 4 other ideas where she could generate potentially passive income with the same business. So like these are things that, are really side benefits of like what we do, of beyond just helping somebody structure a system, but we can help foster those ideas and help work with people that way. And that's the positive spin that I think is great about, our show here and the things that we do is it's thinking differently. And yeah, we can get down and bog down in some of these areas, but regardless, there are positive things that we can do. And the only one that's going to change your situation and that actually really cares about your situation is you. So you're your best investment. Go out and do something for you with the talent, the abilities that you have, and turn it into something that is maybe spectacular. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there. There's lots of opportunities. You just have to go do it.
And creativity is just that is the thing. I mean, we talk about the infinite banking concept, and it's an exercise in creativity, right? It is looking at the same Rubik's cube from another side, twisting a few things around. Oh, what if we configured things like this? What if I flowed my cash a little differently? What if I thought differently instead of just copy paste what some random person on the internet tells you to do? Right? What if I took the responsibility myself to like find a way through? Because my situation isn't the next person's situation. It's not even your situation, Nick, Rob. It's not. We're different. We live completely different lives. We live in different places, and that's fine. It's just how do you manage that? And that's what makes it so fun for me to do this.
I know one way you don't manage it is by hiring a socialist mayor. So
uh,
That's not something that I'm choosing to do, but maybe other people have different choices. Luke, why don't you take us out and tell people how you could help them directly?
Yeah, that's right. Become the mayor of your own life. And thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of the Between the Lies podcast. If you did watch this full episode, it's obvious that you're interested in money, the world of money. We've got a free toolkit that'll help you demystify the future of your money. And it's got 2 free video courses as well as a free PDF copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Between the Lies. We'd love to give all of that to you just for your email address. So head on over to perfectspiralcapital.com/podcast. Sign up for that today, and we'll hope to talk to you again in the near future. Thanks for watching.